Alright guys, with another SmarkCast. Actually got some questions this time. So they all went to my email though, which is a little weird because I haven't given my email out in a while. And the SmarkCast wasn't exactly the most watched thing last week. So it's a little weird that I'm getting questions again. It's probably from the old fans. But either way, I'm going to talk about Raw and answer some questions. Raw was not exactly great. It was pretty bad, in fact, but there were a few shining moments, which is kind of a rarity for Raw nowadays. One in particular being the Macho Man Randy Savage finally getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. If you have been watching the SmarkCast or even listening to it back in the old days when it was just an iTunes thing, you will know that on the second SmarkCast after WrestleMania 30 last year, I said that the very first inductee this year would be the Macho Man Randy Savage. And lo and behold, there it is. I just had a feeling this year that he was going in, and then a few months ago when they announced the Macho Man Randy Savage documentary, that pretty much solidified it. As for, I did get a question way back then, well, who's going to induct him? And my prediction was Lanny Poffo, his brother. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is. I thought that Lanny should induct him, or even Ricky Steamboat. But we got Hulk Hogan. And I know a lot of you are like, well, that's a good idea because they have history and all that, and that is very true. They have a ton of history. They were friends for real. They had a falling out, and they kind of reconciled, and that's all good. But this leads me to the first question of the day. I'm on my notebooks behind me, so it was from Steven. He said, "What is my thoughts on Hogan inducting him into the Hall of Fame?" Okay, here we go. One of two things is going to happen here. One, Hogan is going to give an amazing, heartfelt speech that everyone's going to love. Or two, Hogan's going to make it about himself. I'm leaning more towards two because Hogan is one of the most selfish individuals in wrestling. He always makes everything about himself, and he only gives a crap about himself. It's one of the reasons why I do not like Hulk Hogan. He is you can tell that man is lying anytime his mouth is open. So in the Hogan documentary, the Savage documentary, he does tell stories that I really don't know if are true, because Lanny Poffo says, no, those aren't true. And I tend to believe Lanny Poffo over Hulk Hogan. But I did make a statement on Twitter last night that we should all, of course if you're 21 and above, we should all play a drinking game during that Hall of Fame speech with Hulk Hogan. And anytime he says the word I, me, anything that has to do with himself, then we should all take a drink, because we'll get drunk pretty fast, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to do a lot of I, me. He's going to make it about himself. And he's just horrible at doing that. So I'm not a fan of Hogan inducting Macho Man. I think it should have been Ricky Steamboat or Lanny Poffo. It doesn't make sense to have. Well, it makes sense to have Hogan do it because they have a ton of history. So while they had that great video package, and I'm not going to lie to anybody, I teared up because that is what made me love wrestling. When I was a kid, I think I was like 4 years old, maybe 5, I remember seeing Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage and thinking, I love this. This is awesome. One of the first memories I have is Macho Man defeating $1 Million Man at WrestleMania for his first championship ever, and I remember crying because that's my hero. I remember meeting Macho Man Randy Savage at a putt-putt golf course. It was called Sir Goonies in Knoxville, Tennessee, and how cool he was, and I was like 10 years old at the time, and how just humble and nice and how just awesome, an awesome of a person he was. And so seeing him inducted to the Hall of Fame makes me very happy because that bottom line, Macho Man Randy Savage is my favorite of all time, my #1 favorite of all time. And I mean, I have his autograph right there. Oh, wrong way. Right there. That white piece of paper is Randy Macho Man Savage autograph. I have it framed on my wall. And I have a poster of the Putt Putt Golf Course signed by Randy Savage. Both of them say to Darren, and they even spelled my name right, which is awesome. So, yes, I am very, very, very ecstatic that, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, the Hall of Fame means nothing because he's in there with guys like Pete Rose and the Refrigerator Perry, which that's in the celebrity wing. The celebrity wing is a freaking joke, and you know, so what? Who cares if it's a joke? It's Macho Man Randy Savage. That's all that matters. And he actually had a part. Steven had a part 2 to this question. What are the divas I think should go in? Well, I think Lita should go in, but I'm very for Trish Stratus going in. I'm glad she went in because she is the greatest diva of all time. But I feel it's kind of a travesty that she went in before Sensational Sherry, and before, you know, a lot of other great divas. I mean, Miss Elizabeth, Sensational Sherry, Luna Vachon. So I really believe that if you're not going to do Lita, or you can just do Lita this year and get her, or what Lita was in last year. What am I talking about? Sorry, I had a mental breakdown there. Yeah, I forgot that Lita, because Lita had that really long speech last year. Anyway, so Luna Vachon, Miss Elizabeth, Sensational Sherry. If you're going to go with any of those 3, I think Sensational Sherry needs to go in. I don't know. Maybe she's already in. I don't know. She could be, because I just now forgot that Lita was in. That shows you where my mind is today. I just got done doing a bunch of philosophy homework, so my brain is kind of melted right now. Anyway, so the next cool thing that happened on Raw, we're going to go ahead and move along. I think one of the highlights was the Dean Ambrose Dean Ambrose psych evaluation. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was hilarious. The only problem I had with it was that it was a comedy thing when Ambrose should be having matches. So it was really cool to see him in there, because I'm wondering if some of that was ad-libbed, especially the whole, yes, it's weird that you sit down when you pee. It was a very funny segment, and it actually brought a new light to Ambrose. And that would lead me to something else from Amy. What do I think they should do with Ambrose? Right now, Ambrose is kind of up in the air. He just got out of a feud that he lost badly, and it seems they don't know what to do with him. But they did something last night that I never even thought of. They put him up against Rusev, and this whole time I've been saying that Ryback is probably the best person to beat Rusev. And I think I may have been wrong. Because if Ambrose beats Rusev and gets the U.S. title back, it actually doesn't hurt anyone involved. Rusev can come back from a loss to Ambrose. And I think that's actually a brilliant idea. Have Ambrose beat Rusev. It'll get him some notoriety. He'll actually win a feud. He'll actually win a singles match, which is decent. So, yeah, I think that would be the best way to go. But if they're not going to go that route, which they might not, I think they will, because I think the start of the feud was last night. So, if they're not going to go that route, I think that the best thing to do is maybe put him with Reigns. Do a tag team, bring a mini Shield back, just those two, destroying people. Why not? Reigns could use it. So, but I don't see how Ambrose benefits from that. Either way, I think the best route to go is the thing that I never thought of. Ambrose and Rusev. Have Ambrose take out Rusev, maybe at WrestleMania. that'd be nice. Give him a little bit WrestleMania moment. I think I dig that. So anyway, next up, while not a good thing, it's leading to another question. I'm segueing into Roman Reigns' promo against Big Show. Okay, it wasn't Reigns' delivery that was bad. It was the actual promo that he did not write. You can tell he didn't write it. It was really bad. And even my wife was like, is he speaking to his daughter, or what's happening? And I'm like, I think the whole thing was he was speaking down to the Big Show and trying to put across the point that the Big Show is lesser than him. And I don't know, but it was really bad. The whole telling a story thing was pretty terrible. But either way, it was interesting to say the least. So let me get this. Oh, my thing just fell. My notebook just fell on the floor. That's awesome. Put it back. Okay. But that leads me to the next question, which is Stephanie says, "What is my thoughts on Roman Reigns?" Okay. Here we go. Now, there's a lot of hate going on for Roman Reigns right now. A lot of people just hate him, and I think that even the WWE has cast him aside, because look where he is. He's not in the main event scene. He's kind of stuck in mid-card hell with Big Show. They're trying to build him up by beating Big Show, and it's not going to do anything for him. However, unlike a lot of other people, I see potential in Reigns. I see that he does have charisma. It's just a strange charisma, because most of the time when people have charisma like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, it's a all-around charisma that you can do anything with. Steve Austin could do heel, he could do babyface. The Rock could do funny, serious, babyface, heel. And Reigns is stuck. His charisma is just one thing, and that's that he is a badass. So, I believe that he needs to do a little less of this, a little more of this. Stop having him do promos, and if you have him do promos, because there for a while, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, his promos were stellar, because they were simple. They were one sentence, and then moving on. And I thought that was great, because he would come in there, say what he had to say, and then beat up the Big Show. His promo against the Big Show, when the Big Show started walking down the aisle, and he said, "If you step up on this mat, I'm going to punch you in the mouth." I thought that was great. And he said one thing, and that was the end. And I was like, this guy's getting really good. And that's the thing. He is getting better at promos. It's just the promos written are terrible. They're awful, awful promos. And I think even he knows. And the biggest problem is Vince is trying to turn him into The Rock. And it's not going to work, because he doesn't have what The Rock had. He doesn't have it. I mean, he has it, but it's not The Rock's it. And people know that I hate The Rock. But The Rock is pretty much the end-all, be-all of promos. He was so good at it that there are very few that can step up with him. Very, very few. And they're trying to turn Reigns into that, and it's not going to work. I'm sorry. He's not going to be The Rock. He's going to be Rikishi at best. And here's a weird thing that I was thinking about. I was thinking about his lineage, his family. The Head Shrinkers, Rikishi, Jamal, Rosie, or Umaga and Rosie. Rosie, in fact, is Roman Reigns' brother. Was Roman Reigns' brother. Rest in peace. The Usos, just Rikishi, all the Yokozuna. I mean, you look at his family, and 60% of them were at their best when they were in a tag team. Rikishi and a little bit of Umaga, and The Rock being the exception to the rule. But Usos, better as a tag team. Rikishi was the best when he was with Too Cool. I personally, I mean, like, Umaga was he was great. Umaga was great, but he was good with Jamal and Rosie, too. Yokozuna was just stellar as a heel. So, all of that, you know, and maybe that's what Reigns needs. Maybe Reigns needs to be in a tag team. He needs someone to carry the chemistry. He needs someone to be the mouthpiece. He needs someone to kind of be there to level him out, because he's just a badass. That's all there is to it. He's nothing more than that. He probably will never be more than that. He might not even ever connect to the audience in a personal way. So that's what I think. That's what I think of Roman Reigns. I think he has potential to be something, but I don't think that WWE is going to be shoving him down our throats anymore. I think they realize that, you know, he's just not what they want him to be. And as for him winning the Rumble, I don't see that happening anymore. Because if they do, it's going to be just like last year, where people are going to be pissed off because everyone wants Daniel Bryan to win. And unlike last year, Daniel Bryan's actually going to be in the Royal Rumble this year, but everyone wants Daniel Bryan to win, and instead Batista wins. And that's what's going to happen, because right now, Roman Reigns is Batista. He's the guy that WWE wants you to like, but you don't. And they're giving him all this stuff. So, it doesn't, that's about, you know, about the way it works out. But, okay, and really, the last thing, I mean, other than that, the Raw opening match was good. Rollins and Cena, it was a little overbooked, and it was really predictable. I mean, if you thought Cena was going to win that, then you're out of your gourd. So that, and the Daniel Bryan speech was really good. I'm glad that he got his moment to shine, and I'm glad to see him taking bumps again. He got to fight Kane, so I think he'll be working good. And I think he will be the #1 entrant in the Royal Rumble. I do. I think he'll be the #1 entrant, and I think that he's probably going to win it. So, and then the ending. The ending was a contract signing. Usually contract signings are horrid. This one was really good, because they're really building Seth Rollins up. They're really building him up to be a serious threat. I mean, when they had a backstage segment earlier in the night where he was standing with Brock Lesnar, and he just looked like he belonged there. He was almost as tall as Brock Lesnar, and he was just staring him in the face, and it was like there was no backing down, and I think he just looked like he belonged in that main event scene, and I truly believe he's going to be the first champion out of the Shield. And I would love to see him win at the Royal Rumble and be the very first title holder and briefcase holder at the same time. I would love to see that. Will it happen? Probably not, but I would love to see it. They're just doing really well with Seth Rollins right now, just really building him to be a monster. But the contract signing was Brock Lesnar spoke, and I'm just to that point where it's like he should never speak, ever. He's worse than Roman Reigns. I mean, he grabbed that mic, and the first thing he said was, "Listen here, Mr. Curb Stomp." And I'm like, whoo, you got him. Man, that was awesome. But it was bad. But Paul Heyman, Paul Heyman did a great job. And then Rollins spoke and did an excellent job. Cena even did an excellent job, and they all signed the contract. And a brawl is going to break out, and it did. Cena attitude adjustment on the table, and Rollins curb stomped both of them, which was fantastic. And I thought that was a great ending to Raw. And even though Raw sucked, I would be lying if I said that segment did not get me excited for this match. I can honestly say that when it was just Brock Lesnar and Cena, I was not excited. I wasn't excited at all. I was like, I'm probably going to skip this. I might skip Royal Rumble. I mean, there were parts of me that really were going to skip it. And then they added Rollins, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to skip it. I'm into this. And then ending of last night happened, and I'm really into it now because they're actually building Rollins as a threat and not just a guy that is in there with two beasts. Because I am actually a big fan of Brock Lesnar. I'm just not a fan of him having the belt. I think that he should just be in there destroying people and bringing up ratings instead of holding on to the belt for 6 months and not defending it. And it's just been a bad main event scene for 6 months now. So I'm excited. And I'm thinking, I don't know who gets it, but I don't know if Brock Lesnar is walking out of there. I think it's best for business if Brock Lesnar walks out of there with the belt, because whoever defeats Brock Lesnar is going to cement their legacy. They're going to beat the man who beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. And so I'm ready for the Royal Rumble. But that leads me to another one who didn't give me a name, but just gave me an email address. I'm not giving their email address out. So they said, do I see any surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble? To be perfectly honest, I've never cared for surprise entrants of the Royal Rumble because there's no chance of them winning. However, I do believe that they are a must-have for every Royal Rumble because whenever... Okay, the point of a surprise entrance is the Royal Rumble can be a taxing event because it's well over an hour long and you're just having guys come out and throw... And sometimes the crowd can get a little restless. So the crowd's getting a little restless. Boom, you hit a surprise entrance. Kevin Nash comes out and everyone goes crazy. The crowd's pumped up again. So it's very important to have these surprise entrants. But do I see surprise entrants? Of course there's going to be surprise entrants. I think Chris Jericho is going to be one of them. But I also believe that we will get Rowan, Ryback, and Ziggler. Somehow, some way, those three will be in the Royal Rumble. Maybe they come out wearing masks. I don't know. Maybe they get reinstated at next Raw. I don't know. But something's going to happen where those three are going to be in the Royal Rumble. You can't have a Royal Rumble without Dolph Ziggler. Just like you can't have a Royal Rumble without Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is usually the highlight of every Royal Rumble. Even though he never wins, it's just like, how is he going to save himself from getting eliminated this time? Because Kofi Kingston is one of the greatest athletes out there. He's awesome. So, surprise entrants, yes. I'm not going to predict them because that's something you can't predict. I'm going to say Chris Jericho. In fact, I don't even know who's going to win the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan, but I don't know. So, that leads me to the last question tonight, the Kofi Kingston stuff, from Richard. He said, he asked, who do I think is the most underutilized talent on the roster? I usually hate questions like this. I hate, give me your top 5 favorites, and because that's hard for me. And who do I think is the most, who's the best on the mic? Because there's tons. This one is, who do I think, no, that's actually not the question. It was not the most underutilized. Who are the underutilized talent? That's what it is. Sorry, Richard. Who are the underutilized talents? The list can go on and on. I think Kofi Kingston's very underutilized. He's very athletic, very fun to watch. I think Xavier Woods is very underutilized. He's, once again, very athletic, very fun to watch. Cesaro, of course, is underutilized. I think Tyson Kidd is underutilized. I think because of his size, he gets shoved into the lower card, which sucks because he's actually very fun to watch. One of the most underutilized is Damian Sandow. Right now, he's pretty much a jobber. He's the lackey of The Miz. This is entertaining. It's very entertaining. Mizdow is great. I love it. I love the way they handle it, but it needs to break up, and Sandow needs to kind of get elevated. But to me, the most underutilized person, and I really truly believe this, is Cody Rhodes. Because Cody can play a good guy. He can play a bad guy. He's decent on the mic. He is fantastic in the ring, and right now he's stuck as Stardust, which I liked Stardust at the beginning, but after a while it started to get old. And now he hasn't even been on TV in 2 weeks. So I do believe that Cody Rhodes deserves to be a champion. He deserved that Money in the Bank. He deserved to be Intercontinental Champion forever. So yeah, Cody Rhodes. I used to say Ziggler, but Ziggler's no longer underutilized. He's kind of a big deal now. Bad News Barrett's where he needs to be. He'll be elevated soon enough. Rusev is where he needs to be, but underutilized talent. I gave you the list, with Cody Rhodes being on the top. So there's a lot of there are a lot of other underutilized talent out there, but I think that the ones I mentioned are kind of the most underutilized. They could do with giving these guys some time. I can fully understand why they don't give Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, because really neither of them, or Kofi is not good on the mic and Xavier's not established. But at the same time, you can't be established if you don't get a shot. And Kofi had a shot. He got to be in a program with Randy Orton. I don't know why that was ended so quickly, because it was a great show. So, but either way, we're running on 30 minutes here, and you know I don't like going over 30 minutes. So, thank you for watching the SmarkCast. You can follow me at SmarkCast on Twitter. I guess I should start giving out my email address since people are already emailing me. It's just smartcast@gmail.com. You can check it out. I'll start putting them in the description so you can give me more questions, because I do like answering the questions. I like answering the questions more than I like doing just a review of Raw or Royal Rumble. And I did get 4 other questions that I didn't answer because they were the same one. It was, what's my predictions on the Royal Rumble? You will get that next week. Next week will be my Royal Rumble prediction SmarkCast, because it's 1 week before it's 1 week before the show, and 1 week before the show, I do the predictions. So, either way, once again, thank you for watching SmarkCast. I am Darren.